Get that recording, great.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Promethean webinar, Engaging Students with ClassFlow Desktop. So today we're going to be broadcasting on Facebook Live on Monday, and this is our advocate group that we'll be showing you in a minute. So the webinar will be recorded and posted onto YouTube over the next couple of days. If during the webinar you have any questions, please make sure you use the chat function and not the Q&A. And we'll be happy to answer any questions. We'll have a couple of breaks as we go. So you can see the chat functions at the top right, and make sure you avoid that Q&A and make sure you post questions to all participants so that everyone can see what you're asking. So we'll be covering the following points in today's webinar. So how to use your existing resources to increase student engagement, easily assess student comprehension, and how to personalize student learning. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Dennis Constactor, who is the Teaching and Learning Consultant for the UK and Ireland.
Great, thank you, Andy. Okay, so this webinar kind of follows on from the last webinar that we did in June this year. So that was really our first one where we introduced ClassFlow into one of these webinars, because historically I've been doing them on Active Inspire software. So if you didn't attend that, what we were really looking at specifically was the different ways that Promethean software can aid with assessment in the classroom. We're going to continue on with that because that's always going to sort of be a thread that collecting student feedback and data and understanding of learning. But we're now going to move and look a little bit more closely at ClassFlow itself. So just in case you weren't on that one and you're new to ClassFlow, I just want to cover first what ClassFlow is. So ClassFlow is a cloud-based teacher software that's been created to make lesson preparation easier and lesson delivery more dynamic. So what do we mean about that, with that? What ClassFlow enables you to do is to create your lessons, and they sit online, so it means that I can create my lesson as a teacher no matter where I am. I don't have to worry about having a piece of software installed on my computer at home that I use at school. I can just log into my ClassFlow account and be able to create lessons anywhere that I am. I have an online storage, so I can bring everything in to my ClassFlow account that I need to create that lesson. And my lesson can be pulling together of all of those resources that I already have. So I know that when I was in the classroom, I had loads of PowerPoints and PDFs and Word documents and everything that I needed to use with my class. And I would use different file formats and different resources depending on the lesson I was teaching. But what ClassFlow enables me to do is bring those all together into one lesson format that I can run through. So I don't have to worry about opening other files and applications and having pages and flipping between windows in front of my class, because I can do that all from my ClassFlow lesson. I can connect student devices into my lesson. So that means that I can better engage my pupils by making them more interactive. I can assess understanding at any point in the lesson, and I can solicit feedback from my class. I can also personalize, I can support the personalization of learning better as well by being able to send different things to students with different needs in my class as well. So why did Promethean make this change? Well, we recognize that the world has changed and the classroom has changed, and we're no longer in that confines of the school building is where learning is isolated to. So by having a cloud-based piece of software, it means that we can break the walls of the classroom down and we can start to make use of learning wherever it happens and not just in the classroom. Okay, so how do we get started? In the UK, we have our own ClassFlow website called classflow.co.uk. So what you need to do is just open up a web browser, and you're going to type in classflow.co.uk, and you'll come to the home page here. You just want to sign up for it, and then you can fill in your details here and you can create your account. Okay? Or alternatively, you can decide to log in and you can use our online authentication. So if you have any of these accounts with these, so Google, Office 365, or Facebook. You can use those to create your account as well, so instead of having to fill in the form over here, you can just connect it to an existing account you have. Okay? But today, I am going to show you the ClassFlow website, but we're not actually going to go into it at all. And the reason for that is most of you are on your summer holidays, and great for joining our webinar on your summer holidays. I do appreciate that. But, you know, you do have lives outside of school. And so what I wanted to do today was give you something that you could take away and actually just use very quickly. So instead of having to try and recreate things or create new lessons, create new material, you can use the materials that you already have on hand. So we're going to be looking at ClassFlow Desktop. So ClassFlow Desktop is an application that you need to download and install on your computer. And what it does is it gives me a handy little toolbar down the side of my screen that enables me to connect into my online ClassFlow account, but use all of the fantastic resources that I already have on my computer without having to recreate anything. So it means that I can use the fantastic tools that the ClassFlow website gives me, but on top of any application that I already have. And I'm going to show you that in just a couple of minutes. So with ClassFlow Desktop, these are just a few of the things that you can do. Instant Whiteboard. I've got an annotation tool that I can annotate on top of anything, and that includes videos, websites, PowerPoint, Word document. I still have an active desktop. So without having to go anywhere, I can just open up any application I want and move through it as normal. And when I want to involve my students, I can make use of the ClassFlow toolbar that's just minimized off to the side. I can share my desktop with my students. I can share my desktop with my students and get them to interact with it. And I can ask polls, so I can solicit that feedback, that information, that input from my class as well. And there's a lot more that I can do than that as well. That's a start anyway. With ClassFlow Desktop, these are some of the things that my students can do. So I can connect them into my class. I can send them content to view on their devices. They can interact with the content that I send. They can respond to polls. And I can also get them up and use the materials up here at the display as well. So they don't always have to be sitting in their seats, because ClassFlow Desktop works really great with getting the students up and interacting with the content on the main display as well. So I'm just going to come out of my PowerPoint, and I'm going to take you to the website to show you where you can find. There you go. Bear with me for a second when I get out of here. Nope. Okay, 2 seconds while I just come out. There we go. Use the escape button. And I'm just going to minimize that over here. Okay, so this is the classflow.co.uk website. And what I'm going to do, in order to get ClassFlow Desktop, I need to register for an account and I need to log in. So I'm just going to click here and I'm going to log into my account. Okay. Then on your home screen, if you just scroll up, you can come to the panel here that talks about ClassFlow Desktop. And what you want to do, you've got some information here, but I want to learn more. And then this takes me to a page that's dedicated to ClassFlow Desktop. So at the top, you can watch a little video to find out some more information about it. And if we scroll up a little bit here, this is what I wanted to show you, is on this page here, we've got the download ClassFlow Desktop for Windows or Mac. Now, I know if you're on the WebEx, you're not seeing my finger pointing at the screen. My advocates in front of me can. But you can see that right there in the middle of the screen, download ClassFlow Desktop for Windows or Mac. Okay? We download this and install that on our computer. So I'm just going to come out of the website, log out of there, and I'm going to minimize that again, minimize my PowerPoint, and I'm going to open ClassFlow Desktop. So I already have it installed. You can see it puts this little shortcut on my desktop. Now, the very first time you install ClassFlow Desktop, it will ask you if you want to have it launch on log into your computer. It's purely up to you whether you want to or not. If you do select that, you can't then change your decision afterwards. So I elected that I don't want it to start. I want to be able to be in control of when I open it. So I'm just going to double click on that and launch it. And we can see opening up in my system tray at the bottom. And it'll just take a minute and we'll get ClassFlow Desktop open. And what happens when it opens, you'll see it opens over here on the side. And immediately it's going to present me with the screen here to log in. I'm going to come out of that for a second. We're going to come to that in a minute. So that's ClassFlow Desktop on there. I can get rid of that toolbar, so when I'm not wanting to use desktop, I can just still have it open, just have it sitting off to the side there, or I can bring that open to say, okay, I do want to use this right now. So what I could do is if I come to my PowerPoint here and open up this one, maybe having a discussion with my class, we're introducing a new topic to them in English today, in literacy today. So some of the things I can do with my tools. So as you can see right now, I've not connected anything. I've not logged into anything. I've just opened desktop. And I can make use of wonderful tools like my annotation. So annotate on the desktop. So I can pick up the pen and say, yeah, that word is spelled incorrectly. What should the word be? We could discuss that as a class. I could have my students come up and do that for me. So without having to connect at all, I did the wrong by as well because I've got an E there. There we go. Thank you. It's good to have an audience to prompt me when I didn't recognize I'd done something wrong there. And what I can do is if I click on that, I get different colors, I get different widths. I also get an eraser. So what I could do is rub out a little bit. So that was very, very thin eraser, so you can see there. And I also have a clear, so I can clear everything, clear all the annotations as well. So very handy without having to have logged into anything at this point. Now what I can also do is sometimes I just want that blank page. So somebody asks a question, I just want a page so we can discuss it and write some ideas down. So what I could do is just click on my instant whiteboard here, and it just gives me a white screen. So I could pick up my pen, I could ask my class, does anybody know any homophones? Can anybody give me some more words like the incorrect one that we just saw? Does anybody have any other examples? You can see Lou at the back there wants to give me one. Okay, so we could then just write that up there. Okay, and just write up our options there. So you can see I've got that instant whiteboard where really quickly I can just call up a screen that I want to use. And I'm just going to come out of that and go back to my desktop. So I can flip really easily between my browser, my instant whiteboard, and my desktop as well, okay? What I want to do now, though, is although I can use that, and I am getting some interaction in a traditional way from my class, I want to get more interaction by actually connecting my student devices. So to do that, I need to log into the software. Now, because you're registered for .co.uk, classflow.co.uk, there is one extra step that you have to take to get started. And that is to go into your settings here, and I just need to change that ClassFlow URL from .com. Let's see if my keyboard's going to work for me here. Nope. So I'm going to hide behind the screen for a second, and I'm just going to change that from .com to .co.uk. Okay. And I'm going to click Save. What it's going to tell me is it just needs to log out to ClassFlow and log back in to recognize that server. So I'll let it do that, save, and it's going to launch it there for me again. And you can see this time it's put my login window comes up automatically. Now what I'm going to do is somebody else was using my desktop, so I'm going to go back to my keyboard for a minute, and I'm just going to type in my details. Right, so I set up an account especially for this. I can remember which one it is. Bear with me for a second. And when I'm trying to type quickly and concentrate, my fingers go all over the place. Okay, and I'm going to log in. No, I did that wrong. No. Try one more time, and then I'll use a different account. AOL.com. Right, I knew what I did wrong. There we go. and click at login, and now you can see I've logged into my ClassFlow account. It helps if you only have one ClassFlow account and one ClassFlow login. Unfortunately, that's not the case for me, so I had to quickly, in my mind, remember what that account was. So you can see here right away, I'm now connected in, and what pops up here is the ability to be able to connect to class. Now, because I'm using a fresh ClassFlow account, I don't actually have any classes created in my ClassFlow account. But it still enables me to connect students to my lesson by giving me this option to connect with no class. So I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to get my audience in front of me to connect into my ClassFlow lesson. Now, if you are at home and you've got a tablet or another window and you want to connect in as well, you just want to go to classflow.co.uk/student and put in the code there, put in your name, and click join anyway. And I can see here my students are coming in. We can see them popping up here. What I also see is if I have this window closed, I can see here how many students have joined my class. So right now I can see I've got 10 students in my class. We've got 11 now. And again, if I click on that, it then shows me that list of who everybody is. So I can really quickly see who in my class has connected, who hasn't, and maybe who I have to go to give a little support to get started. Okay. I know not everybody's connected, but I can keep that open and people can still keep connecting while my class is open. And I'm just going to move on. Okay. So we've now connected. And what you'll notice as well is as soon as I have students that join here, there's more tools that become available on my toolbar. So at the top here, I now have some icons that were grayed out before when no students were connected that are now available. And those are all the ones that I'll use for getting that interaction from my class. So what I'm going to do is I've got, just to show you different resources we can use, I've got this PDF here. Okay. So we've talked about it. My class have an idea now of what we're going to be learning about today. So I want to introduce them to the definition. So we're going to be learning about homophones. I can show this up here on the screen here, but what I can do with this button here is I could send that page to my class. So not only can I have the information on the display, but I could send a page onto my student devices. So for example, some children, some learners have difficulty being able to read the text on the vertical display. So I could send a page of text to their computers or to their devices, making it easier for them to be able to read it and track the words, pick out the information to report back to me so that we could then pick up pen, say, and annotate, circle, do something on top of it, okay? What I could do as well if I wanted to with those annotations is I could send that card out again to my class, and this time that card will come out with the annotations that I've put on there as well. So we can have that back and forth and keep building on the learning, building on the concept that we're discussing. So I'm just going to come out of that and get rid of my PDF, and I'm just going to minimize my PDF there, okay? As I said again, once I'm in here, students connected, I still have that ability to call up that instant whiteboard if I want. You can see it kept it from the last time that I've been working on it. What I could do is I could take a snapshot of that fantastic discussion that we've had and save that to look at later. So I can come back to that later on. That is saving into my online ClassFlow account. We're not actually going to be looking at that today. So if you are interested in finding out where that valuable information is stored, then I'll let you know when our next webinar is going to be, our follow-on from this one. And you might want to get yourself joined onto that one as well. Okay? We'll go back to desktop for a minute, and I'm just going to rub out my annotations there. What I can also do is, with my students, connecting my students, is I have the ability to ask my students questions, send polls. So I've got my polling option here. You can see here I've got about 8 different types of polls that I can use, so a good variety of questioning types to get that feedback, that understanding, that comprehension from my students. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a word seed. So when I click word seed, student devices will now have a page that comes up, and it's asking you to type in some information. So what I want you to do is tell me some homophones that you know, okay? So to type in a pair of homophones, you type it into the text box, submit it to me, send it in, and I can see here, as the teacher, the results that are coming in. So some of my class are sending their information in. Now, if I'm doing a brainstorming, or I want to know what my class, the understanding my class already has before we begin the lesson, I don't want to just know one thing that you know. So what I want them to do is, once you sent something in, delete it from that text box and send me something else. And what we can do here is, if I click on that one, I can view the results of this poll. And you can see here I got a wonderful wall of words of all the ideas that my class are giving me, all the different homophones that we know. What you'll notice as well is, if people gave the same homophone, it groups them. So we start to see this little grouping. Now I can see here that this was the same example. It's just these two students didn't use commas in between. So what I could do is say those ones actually go together, so let's group them together. And we get that little number up there to tell us. This information will get recorded, and again, I could go back in and I could look at each of these individual contributions and see which student it was that gave me that answer. So I can collect all that valuable information and being able to use it to identify next steps and personalize the learning experience for my students. I also have the ability to stop or pause. So maybe we're in the middle of it, I can see my class aren't quite understanding it. So instead of having to stop the poll, I can pause it, we can discuss it, make sure they're secure in their understanding what they need to do, and start it again. Or I can stop it here. So when I stop that, you'll see everybody's screens will now have stopped, okay? And as I say, I can keep that information. I'm just going to click on that to close it down for now. I'm only going to show you one other type of polling today, and that one is the creative poll. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a Word document here that's got some great real-life examples of incorrect homophone use. And coming up to that poll again, I'm going to send that to you guys as a creative poll. And this time what I want you to do, when the students receive the card, they get a picture of the card there, and then they also get some tools, generally down the right-hand side or down the top. And I'm going to ask my class to pick up their pen tool. I want you to identify in these signs the incorrect homophones, so just cross it out and write the correct one next to it. So I can have them physically interacting with a card or page that I've sent out to them. There are different ways that they can interact with it, and one of the things I really like about Creative Card is I also have the ability to get them to send me a photograph. So there's a little camera icon on that toolbar. So that means that, say we're doing a fantastic piece of work I see that a student's done, I really quickly just want to share that with the class, the rest of the class. I can send a Creative Card out, and I can send it out if I want to just that individual student, and I'll show you that in a minute. So I could send that out to that individual student, get them to take a photograph of their work, and then send it back in. And I can see here that some people have started to submit their answers in my class. I'm just going to click on that so we can have a look. Okay? So we can see here my answers all coming down at the bottom. I know which student it is that has sent in my cards because their names are labeled at the bottom down there as well. We can have a look at the big one here to see that's Emma's contribution. So she's crossed all of hers out. She hasn't given me the correct one, but that's okay. So we can see just my audience here putting some different ideas in. So all of this fantastic information I'm collecting, all of that data is being saved, so that's my evidence of learning. I can go away and say, these students got it, they're ready to move on. These students need a little bit more support. So again, it's looking at that, students as an individual and being able to personalize that learning. And I'm just going to stop that for now, okay? And come back out. This time, once I've stopped the poll, if I come back into that, what it then shows me is a collection of the polls that I did in this particular lesson. So I could go back to have a look at that word seed, And you can see here that I have that creative poll as well. So it starts to collect up a picture of all of the data that I'm collecting from that interaction with my class. What I can also do is, I mentioned I can send different cards to different students. So with this little button here, I can identify individual students in my class that I want to send a card to. So it means that I can send different pieces of information to different students. So it might be a group task. And instead of having photocopies of the task that I want them to do, I can say the blue group, you're going to do this. So I can identify the individuals in the blue group, send it there. Red group, you're going to do that. Yellow group, you're going to do that. And everybody gets a different card with a different task that they have to complete. Okay, so that's using my little send to individuals or send to group buttons here. Now, as I showed you here, we're building up all that data, that student data. What happens with that student data? Well, because we joined with no class, okay, so connect with no class, this information I've done with you right now, as soon as I close down desktop, I'll lose that. But, of course, you want to be able to keep that information. So what I wanted to do today is just give you that starting point really quickly, not having to do anything in the ClassFlow website, get started with using ClassFlow Desktop. What we will do in the next webinar session, and if I just put up that PowerPoint here, let's see, make sure I get to the right one here. Minimize that, and I'll just, there we go. So we've got part 2 to this one. You can see early September it's going to be happening, so watch out for the registration details. We'll be putting them on our site soon. And what I'm going to do then is take you through the things I need to set up in my online ClassFlow account to make sure that my classes show up in desktop so that all of that important data is saved back and I can access it after my class is finished and build on it. I'll also show you where all of those pages that I saved. Remember when I annotated over something and I took a picture of it? I can show you where that goes as well. And I also have another couple of nice tricks that you can do with ClassFlow Desktop as well that we'll cover in the next session. Just to finish off, one last thing that I want to point out before we take some questions and answers. I'll take some questions, I'll give you answers probably. I have seen some coming in from the WebEx as well, and Andy is keeping an eye on those for me, so we will cover those ones as well as my audience in front of me. It's just to remind you that, as always, Promethean, don't just put a piece of software out there and say, get on with it. There is loads of support to help you with this, loads of support that's built into it. You got support on our website, but actually built right within ClassFlow Desktop. So in my toolbar down here, we have Help, and you can see here my videos to help me get started with using ClassFlow Desktop. So these are great little couple-of-minute video tutorials that will take me through different aspects to help me get started. I also have the Classflow Web Help. So if I can't find what I want here, I can go to the Classflow website and I can look on forums or I can ask questions and get answers back as well. Okay, so everything you need to get started right there. That's that one. So that brings us to the end of today's webinar. We'll come back to, come out of there for a second, and we're going to take some questions. So Andy, do you want to cover some of the things that we saw coming in on the WebEx first of all?
Yes, sure. So Jonathan asked a few questions. So he asked, is there any way of migrating resources from the classflow.com account to classflow.co.uk account?
Yes, there is. And you know what, Jonathan, we will take down your details and I will send you out a link to a little video that you can watch. And you can find them on the ClassFlow YouTube channel. And I think we also have one on the Promethean UKI YouTube channel that covers that as well. But we will note that down and I will send you a personal email with the links as well so you know how to do that.
Actually as well, if you Google migrating from classflow.com to classflow.co.uk, that'll take you to the Promethean website.
Perfect.
Okay, next question. Is it possible to have the Widescreen default to another color as a background?
As far as I'm aware, at this time it's only white. We do always want feedback from our customers, though, on what works best for you. So what I would suggest is that you feed that back. So you can feed that back on that ClassFlow Web Help site that I told you about, because that is a really good question, and it's something that I always talk about when I'm using historically Active Inspire on a display, is I always talk about not having that white background, because some students do find it difficult to read, especially black writing on a white background, and it does get a bit glary sometimes as well. So
there's an option, so when they go into it, how can we quickly change?
They can't change the color right now. Yeah, the instant whiteboard defaults to white. Yeah.
Last one from Jonathan. Is there any way to print or present individual results from the lesson, or even an online portfolio of work that can be shown, for example, for book and work scrutiny?
So again, that's something that we'll cover more in the next session. Emma's holding something up I can't read at the back of the room there. Emma?
Website, or the URL on the website, you can print anything, you can print off.
Yeah. So we will cover that in the next one, and Emma's just, that's good because Emma's just confirmed what I was going to say to you, is that all of that information is stored onto your ClassFlow account when you are connected to an actual class that you set up. And we didn't cover that in this one, but that is something that I will cover in the next one. So your answer is yes, you can print off that information.
Okay, two more. Sheraz Ali said, I'm an Urdu teacher. Does ClassFlow support Urdu language because it's right to left?
It doesn't. No, the answer I have is it doesn't. Again, might be something worth putting on that ClassFlow site as a request.
Okay. And Shona has asked, can groups be set up in advance?
Now, that's a good question, because I know that I can set up groups in advance in my ClassFlow, my online ClassFlow account. ClassFlow Desktop, again, that was something I was going to look at for the next one, but I actually don't know the answer. Emma, can I set up groups? If I set up groups within my ClassFlow account when I'm setting up a class, those groups will show up in ClassFlow Desktop as well when it's connected. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So that is something that we will put in to cover in the next session on, I think it was the 6th of September. That is all about how I set up my classes in my online ClassFlow account. Is that the end for?
Oh, no, we've got
a couple more coming in. Lots of questions today. I might not need my audience in front of me to give me anything, but we'll see.
How does it work with iPads?
How does it work with iPads? The same. As long as you have a device that has the ability to be connected to the internet, it works with anything. So I can connect my students on any device, would go into a web browser, put in the student URL, and then put in the class code to join. So as long as the device is connected to the internet, you can get into a web browser, you can use it to join.
So people ask as well, can I manipulate what's on the iPad via the board, such as making apps work?
Not with ClassFlow. You can do that, not with ClassFlow Desktop, because you can do that with third-party software that enables you to be able to project an iPad screen up, or like an active panel with our Active Connect G series, where you can mirror your student devices and also be able to annotate on top of them as well. So.
Actually, if you go to www.activepanel.co.uk.
Do we have a video of that?
No, I was going to say you can book.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. Very good.
In your experience, does it not present disciplinary issues if students are using their laptops, tablets, BYOs?
Well, I guess it depends on the policy that your school has. So whether or not, that's all down to your school policy. We make the tool available for you, and then you need to use it in the confines of what your school enables you to do with connecting students' own devices or having one specifically for the school. They do need to connect to an internet connection, so a Wi-Fi connection. So if your school Wi-Fi is locked down, that personal devices can't get onto it, then that might limit how it's used. Although they can use 3G and 4G as well to connect into it.
Okay. That's everything.
Okay, thanks. Do I have any questions just from the audience? And I can see Lou at the back there. Yes, Lou?
Is there a frequent time other things that we can already download straight away?
So with ClassFlow Desktop, you can use anything you already have. So you don't need to create anything different because you can use all of the fantastic resources that you already have on your computer. So whether that's a PowerPoint, a Word document, opening up a website and annotating on top of that, a video. ClassFlow itself, the ClassFlow website, we do have a marketplace where you can go to get free resources to use within ClassFlow, so free lessons. But we also, in the marketplace, have the ability to pay for content as well. So that would be stuff that you would use from the ClassFlow website. Now, what I didn't show you today is that you can actually connect to your online ClassFlow account through the web browser and ClassFlow Desktop as well. So it means that I can use a combination of lessons I have in my online ClassFlow account and also desktop on top of other things that I have on my computer as well. So the answer is yes. Anybody else? Yes, Pat? Yes. Oh. Okay, sorry. Is ClassFlow Desktop free? Yes. All you need to do is register for a classflow.co.uk account, and then you can download ClassFlow Desktop and use for free. Now the question is, what does it cost me to join classflow.co.uk? Well, that is free as well. Okay, we want teachers to be using this fantastic resources in their class. So you can do all of that for free. Yes, John?
Can you repeat the file type that can be used?
Basically, anything, any application that you put on your desktop. So ClassFlow Desktop sits over top of it. So if you have it on your computer, you can use the ClassFlow Desktop on top of it. So PowerPoint, PDF, Word, as I said, video files. I use sometimes just use a picture, you know, have a picture file on my computer or the internet as well. So anything you've got on your computer, give it a try. Anybody else?
Is it available for Windows?
Yes, it is.
So that was, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
So, sorry. I'm new to this.
So is it?
Is it available for Windows and Mac? Yes, it is. It's available for Windows and Mac to download. So you just need to go to the website, as I showed you at the beginning, download that, and install it on your computer. Now, I know that school laptops in some schools are locked down, and you might need to have an IT person to do that. We make it available to you. You have to figure out how to get it onto your computer within the confines of what you're allowed to do in your individual school. Okay. Okay.
So Peter Roberts, this isn't a plan, I promise. It sounds brilliant. Where can I find information, etc., that I would send to the head teacher?
So our ClassFlow website is where I would direct you to. So if you just go right to classflow.co.uk, all of the information you would need to give your head teacher to find out more about it is there. Oh, we also have a very useful content website. And you say it, come on.
So resource.classflow.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Also has some
right down here at the bottom.
Materials, use cases, user guides, and things like that as well.
Thank you, Andy. That reminder.
Will there be, Peter again, will there be any UK national curriculum options rather than using grades, using new grades and the age-related expectations that we have?
So classflow.uk will pick up if you're on a UK browser. So this is one of the things I found out when we first went to ClassFlow, that when I got my computer from work, my Chrome browser was actually set up in the US English language. So what I needed to do was change my language, my browser language, to English UK, and then it will convert the terminology. So for example, for my classes, in the UK we would refer to class list, whereas in the States it would refer to roster. So if you are getting terminology like that, you might want to check the browser language that you're using classflow.co.uk with. I was going to say something else around that as well, and I completely forgot what it is. Oh yes, the marketplace. So there is resources on the marketplace that is relevant to the UK curriculum as well, or the UK curriculum as well. So if you do search by Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, for example, you will find resources that are relevant there. The other thing with Marketplace, now we're in a in-between stage because we are having an upgrade to the Classflow website that's going to happen on Friday this week. And we're going to be having the new Marketplace that comes out. With the new Marketplace, as I said, there's loads of free content that you can have as examples to get you started. But teachers will also have the ability to be able to sell content or put their own content up there free of charge as well. So once we get more teachers using classflow.uk and sharing their resources onto the Marketplace, we'll have a lot more UK relevant content there as well. But there is stuff there already, so do have a look.
Great. Okay, so just to wrap up then, definitely sign up for your free classflow.co.uk account. You can also follow us on Twitter, Promethean UKI and Classflow UKI, and also do me a favour, because it's my project. Visit resource.classflow.co.uk. And I'd like to thank Janice for the successfully completing through his Facebook Live webinar, so well done. You can follow Janice on Twitter as well, at TLC for UKI.
Yeah.
That's everything. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to our lovely advocates.
Yeah. Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the call, and thank you, you guys, as always. You're fantastic.